Well, I received a call late last night that said, hey, from Chris. She says, Pastor's not going to make it tomorrow. I said, okay. She says, I can do the 8 o'clock if you can do the 10:30. I have something going on. But I said, okay, thinking it's Reformation Sunday. There's probably, I can talk on Martin Luther. There's probably a video Pastor had planned. After I said, okay, Chris says, oh yeah, by the way, we're doing Zacchaeus. And there's no sermon. You got to do something. So Chris and I talked a little bit, and we decided, with Pastor's guidance, kind of do a question and answer kind of thing with you guys. To kind of take the story and pick it apart just a little bit. So hopefully this will work out, and you guys will help out a little bit. First, to tell you a little bit about Jericho. Jericho was a desert oasis. It was the jewel of the Middle East. Anybody in Rome that got sent to the Middle East wanted to be there. It was the trade center. It was a rich town. It was more preferred than Jerusalem. And so that's the town where Zacchaeus is. So let's learn a little bit about Zacchaeus. What do we know? Who was Zacchaeus? He was a tax collector. He was rich. Those two things don't usually mean you're on the up and up, right? What else did we know about, what did the people in Jericho think about Zacchaeus? They didn't like him. He was a rich tax collector. In those days, the tax collectors got to determine what you paid for tax. Rome told them they had to pay so much to Rome, so anything they could make it above went in their own pockets. And as I was looking this up, they could decide to collect taxes from you at any time they wanted to. If they seen you had a cartload of goods walking down the street, they could tax you on the spot for everything. If you had a cart with two wheels on it, they got taxed for each wheel. If you had a donkey pulling it, you got taxed for the donkey and the goods. So people didn't like tax collectors. So this is where we're bringing into the story. And Jesus is coming. So why do you think Zacchaeus wanted to see Jesus? Curiosity. Yep. Hey, heard about this guy. Do you think word of Jesus had gotten around by now? Yeah, everybody had kind of heard of this prophet, this preacher, this teacher going around. He was curing people, healing the sick. He had raised Lazarus by this point. So word had gotten around. And like I was telling the kid, it was kind of a parade of excitement back then. I mean, there were no floats in that, but this new person was coming to town. Everybody wanted to see him. So Zacchaeus runs out. Got to see this guy. So what happened then? Let's look at that part. It didn't just pass by. Zacchaeus didn't just stand on the side. What did Zacchaeus do? Let's start with that. What did Zacchaeus do? He climbed a tree. So he could see, because he was short. Now, he could have used he was rich. He was a tax collector. You didn't cross those guys. We know today that if the IRS guy came and knocked on your door, you certainly wouldn't turn him away, would we? So Zacchaeus could have easily made people move. He could have hired people to move people out of his way, but he didn't do that. Not only did he climb a tree, did he climb a tree where he was? He ran ahead. So he didn't just stay there. He didn't use his power. He ran ahead purposely to look at Jesus. And then what happened? He's up in the tree. He gets to see Jesus coming down. What did Jesus do at that point in time? Called him by name. Now, people will probably look at that and say, okay, well, yeah, he called him by name, but we got to look at that for what that means to us. If Jesus knew Zacchaeus, that sinner, that tax collector, that rich guy that cheated the fellow Jews, what's that mean for us? Does he know us? That's a good part of the story that's often looked past when we talk about Zacchaeus. So, you think Zacchaeus was a little shocked? What did Jesus tell him? Not only did he didn't say, "Hi, Zacchaeus." What did Jesus tell him? Come down. And Zacchaeus listened, and he got down out of the tree, and he was happy to have Jesus come to his house. Was everybody happy? No. What was one of the things Jesus did a lot that made the people mad? Who did he hang out with at times? The sinners, the tax collectors, the cheats, the ungodly in the eyes of the people. So yeah, the people were a little upset. So why do you think Jesus would do this? Why would Jesus call Zacchaeus out of a tree in front of everybody and make a big deal about going to Zacchaeus' house? Showed love. He's proving a point. You got to love everybody. The Bible does not say love those that are like you. It says love everybody. Here's an important thing that might be overmissed. What was Matthew, one of Jesus' disciples before he became a disciple? What was Matthew? A tax collector. Boy, this Jesus, he just goes for all those tax collectors. So this isn't new for him. He's reached out to those that are on the wrong side of what God says is right. On top of that, we believe that we are all what? Are we all perfect? No, we are all sinners, right? And that's what Jesus believes. He knows we're all sinners. We all break the law at times. And Jesus, did he come just for those people that were already following God's way? Or did he come for the lost sheep? He came for the lost sheep too. He actually talks about a parable on that. So, here's some key points I want to make sure we all caught in this story, because it's also one of those stories that's used in the wrong way. When Zacchaeus, did he buy his salvation when he said, "I'm going to give half my money to the poor, and I'm going to make it right with everybody that was wrong"? Or was it his salvation already there, and he was being grateful for it? It was there. Zacchaeus didn't say, "I'll do all this," and Jesus, it's the way it's written, but really, at the point in time, Zacchaeus was already trying to find Jesus. He didn't just run ahead because he was curious about this guy. He was actually seeking out Jesus. His repentance was already there, and because of his repentance, Zacchaeus was a changed man. And he gave to the poor immediately, and he tried to make right with those that he had wronged because of Jesus, and not the other way around. He didn't do that to get Jesus. Jesus made him do that. Jesus changed his heart. And we don't know much about Zacchaeus afterwards, other than he stayed a tax collector, but he became what is a rare thing maybe, an honest tax collector. He became very charitable. He took care of the poor. He treated everybody fairly. And he became a follower of Jesus, all because he climbed a tree and Jesus called him by name. So Zacchaeus didn't let anything keep him from Jesus. He went out of his way to meet up with Jesus, to just get a look at him. He didn't know Jesus was going to call him out and go to his house. All he wanted was a glimpse of Jesus. That's the power of Jesus. So what keeps us from having a relationship with Jesus? What blocks us? What are some of the things that block us? Sin. We don't think we're worthy. Cell phones. What else? What's happening today at 1 o'clock? Football. Sports. Life in general. We get busy. There's a lot of stuff that keeps us from finding Jesus, from having that relationship that Jesus wants with us. So in conclusion, I just want to say, has anybody ever heard the saying that to get the fruit, you need to go out on a limb? Well, that's exactly what Zacchaeus did. He went out on a limb to get the fruit of Jesus. And he didn't let anything prevent him from meeting Jesus. And we need to do the same. We should make sure nothing stands in our way of that relationship. We'll continue with our sermon song.